So no One Piece chapter this coming week, and since I'm not going to be reviewing a couple of One Piece episodes, at least for a couple of weeks at least, probably till the Dressrosa arc is done in the anime, I decided to discuss a few things about the manga, what to expect after we get from back after the break. So first off, the two main topics I'm going to be discussing. Number one, obviously, is where and exactly when the year of Sanji will actually begin. It's already begun, but I mean, like the flashback of the backstory, because we are getting snippets here and there. So I'll end with that. First off, I'll start with where I believe the story's heading next. And considering the fact, I know a lot of people say, oh, we're going to dive into the Sanji stuff. Maybe so, but you got to remember, this is also the build-up for the Versus 4 Emperors arc. So it's not only built up the Big Mom stuff, which is currently happening, it's also built up the Kaido stuff and Wano. We've seen snippets here and there, obviously with Jack, and I'll get into that bit in a minute. That's basically what this discussion is going to be about. And first and foremost, the Blackbeard and the revolutionary fiasco. I think we could all agree we need to know what the fuck went down, not only on Baltigo, but where the revolutionaries are, because I don't believe there's a single person that believes the revolutionaries are done for. They're hiding out somewhere, because that's been the thing ever since we got introduced. They've been able to outmaneuver and outrun the Navy or the government specifically. And we also know that Blackbeard actually had an encounter with CP0. We don't know what went down, whether it's an actual fight, whether it's actual confrontation. We don't know. But what we do know is CP0 arrived when Blackbeard arrived at Baltico, and they had a dispute of some sorts, but we don't know. What we don't know is where the revolutionaries are right now. I think we have to get something when we get back, because, like I said, this is set up for the Versus 4 Emperors arc, unless you can have interactions with Blackbeard and somebody else, which I doubt at this point that's in the story. I think it's really setting up the, especially with the reveries being set up as well, and everything. That's another thing that could happen. Everything's been set up in place. Looks like Oda's going to hit this one after the other, but we don't know where it's going next. Could be this the whole Cake Island, although we know Sanji is on there. But the thing that's happened now is you got one of Sanji's brothers turn up with Gemma 66, and obviously Luffy can't fight, so there's not going to be a fight just yet. If there's going to be a fight at all with the Straw Hats, but what we do know is if this is a way of stalling, obviously prolonging the issue of whether or not Luffy's going to fight Big Mom. He might do at the end, but like I said this before, I think you're going to have to deal with the Vincent Smokes as well as Big Mom's and the Charlotte family as well. We've just got introduced. I think we already had Pudding been revealed as the three-eyed chick, although she's got a different hairstyle. And even though Sanji was head over heels when he saw the picture, he's not doing the wedding, so that could also play a factor in this. Number one, the fact that Luffy's obviously been poisoned. This happened during Impel Down as well. Obviously, he's not dead, but he's still suffering the after effects because he got poisoned by Magellan. But even Koff was there to fix him up. So unless Chopper can fix him up real quick, I don't see a confrontation with Big Mom happening anytime soon. I already knew that sneaking on the island wasn't going to cut it, but this is a way for Oda and to like put that to the side for a bit, and then because if he is setting up the other 4 Emperors as well as just Big Mom, then you're gonna have to do something that involves them all. The other thing is that a wedding's a gathering anyway, so we don't know if everybody that's supposed to be invited is going to turn up there and then. I think because the wedding hasn't taken place just yet, it's on the horizon, but not just yet. So that's a way of introducing the other fights between the other Yonko. And I've said this before about I'm not going to focus so much on the Kaido stuff because I've already said who it is and who I believe is going to fight Kaido anyway, as well as the Shogun on Wano. So I'm just going to be focused on the two main topics. Number one is the Blackbeard versus Revolutionaries. I think that's going to happen somewhere down the line anyway. So it wouldn't be a surprise if that was set up now to get that out. If not nothing else, we might get a flashback, but we're going to get an arc and a notebook of the arc of Revolutionaries anyway. So whether or not that takes place in a flashback on Baltigo or whether it takes place on another time, present time, I hope, but we need to get something. But the other thing was the other Yonko we haven't seen. In fact, we haven't seen at all is Shanks. But we know that Team Marco, Team Nekomamushi and crew are going off to find Marco. So and because we know the connection between Marco the Whitebeards and Shanks anyway, we saw them hanging out of the grave after the war, so we know they're at least in connections. So I think if and when we see Marco, we'll see Shanks. I just don't know how close that's going to be. I think, me personally, I think we're going to head to the Whole Cake Island stuff. I don't know if we're going to, because you have to remember this is going to be the year of Sanji, but just because it's going to be the year of Sanji doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get the fight with Big Mom just yet. So this is why I said when we've got the news anyway, this is going to be a War versus the Four Emperors arc. I initially thought this was going to be a setup arc, and indeed, so to a certain extent, it has been, because you've had the stuff with Kaido and Kid. I mean, Kid got fucked up, but is he going to be aligned with Kaido, or is he going to be rebelling against him the moment the Law and Zoro? Because that could be a union made to go against Kaido, although I'm not so sure it's still going to make a difference, but I still believe that fight is going to happen anyway, regardless of whether or not they stand a chance. And I know people are going to post their theories like crazy about this, but it's the only way that you can have all four of the Emperors set up in fights this close when we got the year of Sanji ahead of us. So I mean, I'm not expecting this to be a really long arc unless, and this is a slim chance, but the notebooks that we saw a couple of months ago, maybe towards the end of last year, maybe the notebooks that we saw, maybe not necessarily arcs, maybe they're just notebooks for the versus Four Emperors arc, because if you look at it objectively, if anyone was going to touch on this now, there's certain things that may prove to be important, like the whole revolutionary thing, and we've also got the setup for the revelry as well, which is going to be an important part, because they're going to get gatherings of not just Dressrosa, not just Fisherman Island, not just Alabasta with Vivi and Karu, and so many others. There's going to be a gathering of a lot of kingdoms we haven't seen yet, so that's also a major topic to bring up and to at least set up. So that's another thing. Hopefully the next chapter will get something. Maybe we'll get some stuff about Whole Cake Island, but I'm hoping we'll get something about the revolutionaries, because if this is going to be the versus the War of the Four Emperors arc, it's either going to be a flashback to what happened at Baltigo, or we're going to get a confrontation down the road between Monkey D. Dragon and Blackbeard. And yeah, and that's part of the reason why I think the story is heading next. I think if I had to guess, I'd say we'd probably dive into the whole Sanji thing, but he's already on Whole Cake Island, so whether or not we get the fight between the Straw Hats and Gemma 66, I'm not too sure, because right now we don't know the whole connection with the Vince Smokes and the Charlotte family. We don't know it's going to be a political marriage. We don't know if the Vince Smoke and the Charlotte family are tight with Big Mom, or whether or not they're just doing it to increase the power around the New World. They must be pretty high up, and this has been brought up a lot. How in the world were they able to change Sanji's bounty poster anyway, if they're not that high up in the Anarchy? And they have to be, at least somewhat, have some sort of connection with the government itself, because you don't get that power to change a bounty poster by being a group of assassins just in the New World alone, unless you really are that big of a deal. And hopefully we get to find out sooner rather than later. But yeah, this is a quick discussion on where I think the story's heading next. Let me know what you think where the story's heading next. If I had to guess, I'd say might get something towards the Straw Hats against the Vince Smokes, if in fact there's going to be a fight. If not, then I assume we might get something related to Big Mom, maybe even a reveal down the road. We have to get revealed at some point, because we're already getting stuff about Whole Cake Island with the whole Alice in Wonderland thing, with the whole environment that Sanji is on. We know Caesar's there, and I said this before, this could be a plot device. If Kaido needs Caesar at some point, you know Kaido's going to send somebody, maybe even Jack, because we know he's still alive, and maybe quote unquote a fishman. In fact, that's a strong possibility. But I think there's another way you can interact two Yonko together, because I don't think Kaido and Big Mom are going to fight at all. If any of the Yonko are going to fight each other, it's going to be Shanks and Blackbeard down the road. But I don't think. But that doesn't mean we saw this already. We saw Peckins and Tomako go up to Dressrosa, and then to pick up Caesar, who was directly working under the Flamingo under Kaido. So that it right there, and we know they've had connections, because apparently Big Mom was having fun, so some sort of deals with Caesar, and he was swindling money from her. So we know that they had some sort of interactions with each other. We just don't know what. But maybe that's another way to interact Kaido and Big Mom. Other than that, I can't see any other way of bringing the four Emperors together in this versus four Emperors arc without having Shanks introduced or reintroduced the moment we see Marco. I think if I had to guess, I'd say Weeble will be the one to confront Marco, but I think because Nekomashi's there, we'll get a team of Nekomashi and Marco, and that, probably by the end of that we'll see Shanks, maybe the last Yonko we'll get introduced to in this arc. But for me, yeah, definitely gonna be a setup arc. We wouldn't have gotten these snippets here and there, especially the Reverie or even that of Kaido, if we're just gonna dive deep into Whole Cake Island. I think Oda has a place set in motion for when we get back where we're going to head to next, but that's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like this video if you did, give it a thumbs up, comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.